Hello and welcome to another edition of A Lot of Help with James Lott Jr. It's Lott with two T's. I'm James Lott Jr., a certified life coach, professional organizer, and all other things. And it is Mental Health Awareness Month in May. It's here. And it's also my birthday month. And to me, I am taking time off. I'm doing a reduced work schedule this month to work on my own mental health because the last couple of years have been rough, not just for me, but for all of us. And so my guest today is San Francisco based. Yes. I have to laugh really quick because I just got a notification on my phone that I have a free birthday yogurt from Yogurtland. Thank you, Yogurtland. I appreciate that. Sponsor my show. No. Anyway, back to her. She is a San Francisco based, I just saw, I don't know what there was, licensed marriage and family therapist. For the last 15 or so years, she has been working with people to create meaningful, which I love these adjectives, meaningful, fulfilling, intimate relationships. It's been crazy the last couple of years. So I'm sure she's been doing a lot of that. Something else that she talks about that I like is bringing the unconscious to the light. I love that. I love having epiphanies. I love figuring things out because everything comes from something. I know that sounds very profound. We're going to get into that too. But she also works with people to guide them to uncover their deep, heartfelt wisdom. Because I always feel like everything's within us, right? It's in there. We've got to uncover.
Absolutely.
Right? Help me welcome Miss Andrea Dindinger. Hello, Miss Andrea.
Hello, James. So nice to meet you.
Same here. Same here. I always ask, as we always do first, how are you today?
Today, I had COVID. I got diagnosed with COVID on a week ago.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm still testing positive, which is a humongous bummer. So I'm a little congested, and but otherwise, I feel really excited to be here and doing this with you.
So is it your first time getting COVID in 2.5 years? It's your first
Yeah.
time? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so crazy when that happened. You're like, what? Almost made it through.
I know.
Yeah, but you're doing good, so that's good. And I like that question, and I do this with a lot of my clients too. How are you doing today?
Mhm.
When I ask you that question as a therapist, what are some things that come up when I say that? What do you come up for you immediately?
Well, it's interesting. I think I start my sessions pretty much in the same way. I generally ask, like, what are you connected to, or what are the physical sensations you notice in your body? Because I think our physical sensations actually impact our mental feelings and our kind of emotional feelings. So, and sometimes people aren't connected, right? They're just, they're just not connected. And so I'll often say, well, what's the temperature of your hands? They're like, oh, my hands are kind of cold, and it helps people ground themselves and kind of be more present. And then I'll say, well, kind of what are the thoughts that are running through your head? And my thoughts would be like, ooh, I like James. I hope he likes me. I want to have fun doing this. I want it to be beneficial and meaningful for you and for your listeners. And then the feelings that are inside are just excitement and joy and curiosity.
I like that. I'm like, this is my hands. My hands are warm. Okay. They're
Mm-hmm.
warm. Okay. I'm not sure. My legs are warm too. That's interesting. I never thought of that part, but no, I do agree with the whole heart, head, hearts. I mean, all that stuff. It's all connected, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that, and I'm noticing a lot more of the therapy things are happening these days. People are focusing on the heart a lot more and the physical aspect, aren't they? And I'm seeing that more
Yeah.
and more. The language is changing to include that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's probably been in that process for for a little while, but I think, there's only so much you can get from just thinking about something. You experience your life in your body. And so there's so much wisdom that exists in our being that when we can connect there, we have the ability to make different choices when we're angry. We can feel the sensation of anger. We can feel the sensation of loneliness. We can feel all those different sensations that are unpleasant. And then once we can feel them, we can choose to do something differently. Instead of like punching the wall because we're angry, we can be like, whoa, I'm really angry. I need to have a drink of water. I need to like maybe go for a walk around the block. I need to just like maybe shake my body. You can just choose different things once you can feel it. So often people don't actually feel it, they just react.
You said something that for me, when I have either anxiety or dread, or even excitement sometimes, it feels like a cartoon. It feels like it's like that where it starts from the bottom, you get red, like the cartoon, it gets red and steam comes out, whatever. That's what I can feel almost washed about physical sensation. I feel like it's washing over me, and which becomes overwhelming. It's funny you say that. Well, not funny, but when you say that, I'm like, that does make sense to me now, because they always say, listen to your body, listen to your body, listen to your body. And literally, I've noticed the last couple of years, especially when I feel anxiety or dread or upset or, like I said, or extreme happiness and joy, I can feel it start from my toes and come up.
Comes all the way up. Yeah. And one of the things I love to do when my people are feeling anxiety, especially in those moments, because sometimes you just don't know what to do with it. It's so powerful. The colors of the color red. Do I see red anywhere? I see it on my pencil, right? Do I see orange? Do I see it? And like giving your mind something else to focus on. You'll still feel the sensations, but the mind will shift things in a totally different way.
So you say, I see red, I see orange, I see yellow, I see whatever those colors are. That, oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
Because it just gives your mind something else to do than be focused on just this overwhelming sensation. So the overwhelming sensation is going to be there. That's going to be your first trigger. You're going to see that. You're like, whoa, is this joy? Is this fear? Is this excitement? Is this anxiety? I don't know which way to move. In that moment, you just go, okay, let me find the rainbow. And it's something really simple that gives you something else to focus on. And then it quiets the hamster wheel in your head.
I'm all with the hamster wheel. I say it all the time. I'm always on the hamster wheel. That is something that's interesting, because I know for a fact, once the sensation comes, everything becomes about the sensation.
Yes.
It does. Right. Everything you're saying, like your brain goes, I'm feeling this. Oh my goodness, it's overwhelming. Oh my God, it's washing over me. Oh my God, I'm feeling that. You're right. You feel this. Everything becomes about the sensation, not about what got you there or why you're feeling that way. Suddenly you're trying to manage that, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wrote down physical affects the mental. I like that. Okay, so we've all gone through this collective thing, but I'm going to make it a little more personal for myself, because I can do that. My show.
Yes, you can.
I
love it. It's more fun that way.
I got Andrea here for me. I'm just kidding. She's for you guys also. My fans know I'm crazy, but anyway, they love it. Here's the thing. So for me, I was a single person coming into the pandemic. I'm still single. Don't want to be single. I wish I wasn't, but that's the deal. But we're coming out of that kind of the heavy period. But I was single, lived alone. My kids and grandkids were all in Northern California. So it was limited seeing them, and we couldn't see them for the first year because I had a compromised immune system. I had severe Bell's palsy a couple of years before, and it was all this stuff. So I'm one of those folks who come through. There's different things that happen. I have friends who are married, kids, that thing. We'll talk about that a little bit also later. But for us, a lot of us who are single, or just us and a person, a sibling, or a family, a few that were just not, we weren't so populated. It's been rough. I'll tell you, it has been rough. And luckily, I've had this. And I say, as I'm saying, for you audio listeners, I'm saying the Zoom, the computers, the phone. If we didn't have any of this stuff, I would have went crazy. I know I'm crazy. But I'm sure for your practice, for that type of client that you have, what have you seen coming as we're coming out now? The 2.5 years are kind of coming out of it a little bit. What are some things you've seen?
In the coming out of it?
Yeah, because I feel like now we're kind of coming out of it. I mean, I know San Francisco and LA still have heavy areas where it's happening, but people are starting to date again. People are starting, things are starting to happen. I'm saying for those of us who kind of went through this rough, I just say 2.5 year period, kind of what are sort of things that you're seeing?
I mean, I think people are experiencing much higher levels of anxiety, and I think they're feeling this very confusing in between stage between, I want to go out, is it safe to go out? It's safe to go out. I need to go out, and then going out and just being like, oh my God, either I feel super overwhelmed or I've never had more fun in my entire life. And so I think it's it's a very kind of up and down kind of experience for people. A few months ago, let's see, we're in May, but I would say January time, people are like, oh, I don't know. But each month, as we kind of get further and further along, I think people are feeling a little bit more brave. A lot more people are traveling for sure.
Yes.
And then my single people, I kind of want to look at my people, but my single people are actually getting out there and dating, going on the apps and having friends introduce them to other friends. And I think there's a real drive for that connection.
You just said something that's hitting me. I went on vacation first time in 3 years. So I went to Catalina Island. So for folks who don't know that, it's off the coast of Southern California, like this little island, been there for 1,000 years. I've never been in my entire life. I go, I should go to Catalina Island. And I went, had the best time on earth. I had a great time. But going back to the feelings, the physical, mental stuff, it was at first sensory overload.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you just said that. You said people are feeling, it was sensory, because I was like, I was so excited. Like, I was so excited. And when I got on the boat, I'm a boat person. I know how to sail, and I know I'm a boat person. I got on that boat, and I felt every wave. I felt it was all heightened. I got a little sick, which I normally don't. But I think because I was so into it, I was one with the ocean, girl. I was one with the ocean. I was so excited. And then when we landed, it was only an hour ride, folks. Like an hour out there. Everything just seemed extra beautiful. It was a beautiful day anyway. It was a beautiful day in Southern California. But you know how that goes anyway. But it was just like, the flowers seemed more flowery. Like the mountains were more mountainous. Like it was really crazy. It's like everything I touched, it was just like, so I'm going back to your thing with this. It really was fun. Anyway, so it did do that. And then there was like a bit of coming down from it almost.
Yeah.
At one point. Once I got settled in my hotel, I was like, okay, that was a lot. And I actually had to control my breathing.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's a lot of exposure and it's a lot of input, right? It's like we've had such a small life for the last 2.5 years that we start opening up, and we open up and it feels so delicious, but then it feels super overwhelming. And you're like, fuck, what the hell is this? I'm surprised I shouldn't say that, but it's true.
That's why I can say what comes out. That's exactly what it was. It's exactly what it was. It wasn't an anxiety attack. It was anxiety. It was just like, ooh, I'm here. I was getting ahead. I thought I was getting ahead of myself. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. I was ready to go out there and attack the island, basically. And I'm like, hey, JJ, you're here for like 4 days. You can take your time.
Right.
Okay. And I settled in, but it was like, but at first, I remember getting to the hotel room and getting all the stuff, off me and setting up the bath. I'm one of those people who sets everything up or whatever. I can't help it. I'm an organizer. I can't help it. So I my bathing stuff over here, my clothes over here, and I have everything ready. It was like once the chores were done, as you say that, it was like, oh, now I can do whatever the F I want. And so that became overwhelming. Where do I go first? What do I do? And I had to go, okay, James, you look excited. Let's calm it down a little bit. Have some water. And I did. And I was fine. I was totally fine. But I never felt it before, Andrea. Never felt it before. Never. But but because I realized I've gone on vacation sooner than that, clearly. Every year I went on vacation. It had been 3 years since I've been anywhere as a vacation.
And, I wonder, you say you've never felt it before. I wonder if we have felt it before, but because we were so busy and we were moving so fast, we never paid attention to it, right? Like people say to me like, oh shit, I'm starting to do work travel and it is exhausting. I show up to these conferences and I'm sitting there like looking at everybody, and I think I've lost all of my skills I used to be really good at this, and now I just stand there really awkward and I'm so tired afterwards. I think it probably always was very exhausting. I think we always had that feeling of like, how do we enter into this vacation and this holiday mode? But I don't think we had the kind of quiet space that we've had for the last 2.5 years to really be able to notice it.
That makes sense. You know what? I'm probably right. I'm thinking, well, I know for me, I was always on the go. I was always doing something. The next thing, and this over here and over. So probably I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I had the same feelings. Because I do remember going places and being happy when I go there, or feeling anxiety when I went there. But it was just more, it seemed, I will put that word, it seemed more heightened this time. But you're right, maybe it was always there. We just were so busy in it.
And it's
like somebody always asks me, how'd you raise kids? I raised 2 daughters really young. I go, you just did it. I mean, we just did it because we were both, their mothers that were going to school, we were working, we were raised, we had a village helping. We just like, I was like, I couldn't tell you how I did it. I mean, I could tell you how I did it, but I couldn't tell you. It's like, when you're in it, you're in it. And I can tell you some logistics, like, their mother was going to school work at night and went to school during daytime. And I went to work at daytime. I mean, like we switched off, and like, I was like, well, we just did it. And next thing we knew, there were 10, and next thing you knew, there were 20. I mean, like, I got grandchildren. But I feel like that's what life is, I guess, pre-pandemic. Most of us are just moving along on that hamster wheel, just doing the thing. Just keep going, making circles, and maybe not paying attention to our body. And
I think so.
I agree with that, because I like that. You mentioned, and this is true for me too, I've entered the dating pool and stuff and all that stuff, and I just know that it is, but not just that. I should go back a little bit. I've gone to my first couple events here in Atlanta, and I'm seeing friends events, so people I know. So I'm going somewhere, people I know. And it's one of those weird things. There's a lot of things. Because I'm very, you can tell, very gregarious, open. I mean, I'm not a shy person at all. But I found myself shy. And I kind of staying in the corner going, well, do we hug? Do we not hug? Do we shake hands? Do we not shake hands? Do we elbow? We're reuniting, yet I've seen you every week on Zoom. But it's like a lot of weird stuff. So what are some of your just like takeaways for people who are, again, we're coming out of this and getting back into the real world? What are some things you suggest?
I mean, I think you follow your instinct. So I'm a very hug person. Like, I see you, like if we just met today, I'd give you a hug. Because I know we would.
Yeah.
And but then there's some people who are like, whoa, I don't feel comfortable with that. So I think for me, I listen to what my natural inclination is. Some people just give me a fist bump and I'll follow their lead. But my inclination is like, hey, I feel like hugging you. Or like, I automatically will be like, oh my God, I have missed you so much. It's been so long. But then other people, give me their fist and I'm like, cool, that works as well. But I think it is following your instinct. And then I always tell my people, like, if you're feeling awkward, tell the person, like, God, I feel so awkward talking right now. I don't even know what to talk about. Like, I feel kind of shy. And the other person's going to be like, me too. I don't know what to say. And hopefully things are moving a little bit more out of that place. But even so, when you name what you're feeling in the moment, you relax instantaneously, and so does the other person.
I was gonna say that's what it is. It's almost like telling truth, shaming the devil, so to speak. Just get out there, and then you can go, oh, okay, oh, me too. Oh my God, girl, I feel the same way. Blah blah blah. And then it's almost like if the stigma is broken, everything's broken. It's just like, okay, we all know it's awkward, so it's fine. And you can laugh about it, and hopefully, and then move on to what you can do. I like that. Now, for single folks, any advice for us who are trying to get back out there? And again, same thing. I guess just trust our guts. I guess, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing, isn't it?
I mean, I think it's interesting because I think people want to be introduced from friends. I think there's, the apps. They're kind of, they're interesting. But they've got a little bit of a soullessness to them, right? Like, and I think I have my people do this thing called the Frequent Daters Club. And what it is basically I say, okay, date 5 people all at the same time, all very casually. And you get to know them. You see who you like. Don't care one iota if they like you. Like, don't even pay attention to whether they like you. We always have so much anxiety around how we're going to show up, what we're going to wear, if we're going to be smart enough, funny enough, cool enough, right? Leave all of that behind and just go up and just, meet with people and just like checking them out. Don't care whether they like you. And because you have 5 different people that you're checking out simultaneously, all of them very casually, then you can kind of, if you don't like me, I could care less because I've got this date with this guy and I've got this date with this guy, and I can keep moving along. But then what you do is you start, you put yourself out of the position of being evaluated and being in the position of being the evaluator. Because so often I find that people get into relationships and they're so consumed with, does she like me, that they don't even ask themselves, do I like them? Like they don't even, and then they get into it and they're 6 months into it, a year into it, and they're like, oh, I don't even like this person. And so for me, it's like, and it helps keep the anxiety down too when you're dating multiple people at the same time. And it's not to be, sleeping with them, but keeping it real casual. People ask, are you seeing other people? Yeah, I'm seeing a few other people. Are you? No, I'd like to see just you, and be like, well, you can just see me. I'm still out there checking out other people and getting to know friends. And it's been a long time, so I want to get to know people. Right. And you're being totally honest and straightforward.
Yes.
You're not hiding anything.
Yes, be
But I think it helps. I think it just helps people. And then, of course, somebody always rises to the top.
They
Always.
do. No, I like that. I like the fact of what you just said. And this is so people, if you don't take anything else from this episode, take this part. We have to take the focus off of being evaluated. We have to. I love you said that. We have to that's exactly what it is. We're so busy going, well, why didn't they call me back? Why didn't they say this to me? Did they like my hair? Is something wrong with my teeth? And is my goatee too gray? We're not busy going, they're okay, I guess. I mean, they're fun for a movie, but like we're not doing that at all. We're so busy turning it on us.
Right. And I think if you kind of think about it from like, oh, you're fun for a movie, I totally go to a movie with you because I haven't seen the new Doctor Strange, right? Like, right. So I'll totally go to that movie with you because I think it'll be fun. And who knows who I'm going to meet while I'm out with you at the movies. We might bump into a friend of yours and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm James. And they're like, oh, right. And then there's a connection. But I think the more we can kind of say yes to the world right now and the opportunities that present ourselves. And honestly, like what you said, like don't take the evaluation off of yourself. Don't take anything anybody says about you personally. If they say you're handsome, you can be like, because you see the handsomeness in yourself. If you think I'm funny, it's because you can see the humor in yourself. Like we mirror off of each other. So then, if they say, oh, you're being a bitch, I'm like, well, you must feel bitchy on your inside. Right?
Well, I am a bitch. Okay, no. Yeah, no, I mean, I know, I get what you're saying. I'm just being funny, but no, I get what you're saying. I love it. I love that. I think it's the whole thing about, it's like whatever compliment comes, either direction, don't take it so heavily because again, then your life will hinge on that. Well, he called me yesterday. He called me handsome 3 days ago. Didn't say anything since. I've had people do that. Tell me that he didn't say anything since then. So he's not finding me attractive anymore. You go that rabbit hole. Very easy to do, right? And we're coming out of this whole lonely period for many of us. We gotta be careful with that because we'll go, well, I'm back and nobody wants me. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So I like that. I like that. It's tough being single out there, kids.
I was listening to your podcast from last week or the week before when your date texted, "Hi, cutie," and I was listening to that and I'm like, James, just right back like, "Hi, gorgeous."
I should have. I thought about it now. I thought about here's what's funny is that we've kind of connected on LinkedIn to it. And I said hi back. I did say hi back. So I did try that. So nothing's happened since, but I did say hi back. I said, hey James, how's it going? I went, hi. Everything's going well. It's nice like that. I didn't get smart or nothing. I did that. So I did this. So it's funny you say that. I did. That's the 5-minute follow-up episode of that, but that's what I did do this week.
Good. I love it.
And now you can finally take your advice now and maybe just keep it super casual. And because it is, I fully admit for me, because I haven't been with anybody in 2.5 years, it is weird coming out of it. And it seems very personal. And everything you're saying is going, I like what she's saying. Like maybe I could shift my like to that, and it'll be good. It's just tough, folks. I'm not perfect. I'm human like everybody else. But I like what you're saying, Andrea. I know I like what you're saying. But I did answer back on LinkedIn and a private message.
Perfect.
Hey, for 10 years we've gone through this. 10 years. So we'll see. As you saw, you listen to the episode. So we'll see. I did answer back on LinkedIn. So let's see what happens or not happens. One of the two. But I did answer back. And that's something for me also on a side note. I have been trying to loosen up the last couple, even pre-COVID, loosen up the rules that I thought was the rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we as singles also do too. They gotta be this
For
way,
sure.
this and this and this. I'm learning how to get rid of that also the last couple of years.
And so, back to like this idea of like putting yourself out there. And I think of, all of the encounters of like, there's always a test that they need to pass or fail. Right. And so, do they pass the test if you say, hey, do you want to go, if you offer hey, you want to go for a walk on the beach? And they're like, oh, I can't, but maybe I can do it tomorrow. And so you're like, maybe that's not a pass fail, but it's a fail, right? You decline. But then if they say, tomorrow at 2:00, are you available? And you're like, cool, perfect. That's a pass. And so you just kind of keep tally of like pass, fail, pass, fail. And so then you don't have to get worried about whether you invite them to do something. You initiate contact, because if they decline or they ghost you, which is, to me, I want to wring everybody's neck. I'm like, why the hell can you just not say, I'm not actually into this. I think you're super cool, but you're not my thing. But I'd love to introduce you to a friend. Like, that's what I would love to take place.
I want to tell you something. So stop there for a second. I want to tell you something. So I've always been very honest with people. I've always been that way. I can't help it. It's just whatever I am. And I know how to be polite. I know how to be polite and say things in a polite way, because I've always felt like if it's not working out on some level, it's nobody's fault. It's just not working. We're getting, that's the whole point of getting to know each other, so we can see what works out. And I've always been a person like, I just think you're really great, and let's just stay friends, stay friendly. Or we're both in the business. I'm here to support you. I tell people I'm here to support you in your business. I'll like your stuff on Facebook, whatever. And many times it does where people are like, oh, they kind of appreciate it. Go, okay, thank you. So there's this myth of like, if you do this, not everybody can, there's folks who get mad and scream and holler and stuff. That happens. But a lot of folks that I've talked to appreciated my honesty. And I'm actually friends with folks we stopped dating. We're friends. I have actually some collaborators that 15 years ago, it didn't work out between us on the dating spectrum, but in the creative space, we're fine. And I love it. I mean, I really have to go, God, remember we went on a date like 15 years ago? We'll laugh about it sometimes. But most of the times, because there was some respect in there, ghosting just bugs the shit out of me. I am.
Me too.
I've been told by this newer generation, it's okay. It just happens to everybody. I'm like, that's not good. Why are we ghosting? We're having this wonderful conversation. I'm thinking things are going kosher. You're thinking things are fine. And all of a sudden you just stop talking. And all of a sudden you may see them later, because in some towns, you may see them later with somebody else. You're like, well, why didn't you just tell me you weren't interested? Or I
think people are so afraid of having difficult conversations and being uncomfortable that they just avoid it. And the more we do that, like, the weaker everybody becomes.
Thank you. I like that. Okay, we'll switch off. Enough of my therapy session. Thank you. You can send me the bill. We're gonna go to, because I do want to talk about, I've had a bunch of friends. Here's the tea, folks. I won't say their names. A bunch of good friends who got divorced.
Oh my God.
And separated. So I want to talk about so for the folks who listen to this, who are in relationships or family stuff, let's go that direction. It's been crazy, hasn't it? People, I said this in the organizing space, because I had a lot of people call me for organizing this time period. Like, now that I'm home the whole time, my room doesn't work for me. And I'm seeing from other people, my relationship doesn't work for me. Same thing, right?
I mean, my practice right now, I wouldn't say half and half, but I would say it's really divided between the people who are getting divorced and the people who are having babies.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's so black and white in that way right now. It's, sometimes like it goes through patterns where these things happen, but right now it's like the number of people who are dealing with divorce, infidelity, trying to find their way back to each other, and then the number of people who are having babies. It's kind of unbelievable to me.
So the folks who are getting divorced, it is because of the close proximity stuff, right? Isn't it? It was this whole thing of having to be, or what do you think, or what do you think in your practice? What do you think it is?
I don't know that it's the whole proximity thing. I mean, I think that added like fuel to a system that was already probably pretty damaged or in trouble. And so you add the pandemic and all this time together. And then I think people were drinking a whole bunch more during the pandemic. And, that's never a good idea. Plus, then you have feelings of anxiety was up the wazoo, depression was up the wazoo. So you bring those things together to a family system that was already kind of struggling, having difficulties. They're going to go one of two ways. They're either going to, break up, divorce, separate, or I've had a couple of people who've actually taken that time and they've actually gotten stronger, which it's the minority, but it's amazing because what was happening before the pandemic was there was so much separation, always going out, always doing their separate things. That then once they had to be together, they had to refine a way of laughing together, connecting, playing games, going on walks, not drinking as much because they weren't going out in the same way. So they're in the minority and I love like what they have found. But I think it's, people stopped having, back to the ghosting, people are not willing to have these difficult conversations. They're not willing to kind of circle back and be like, hey, how you said that to me is still really sitting with me. Or like, hey, I'm still really feeling a little bit of shame and guilt about how I spoke to you. Instead, it's like, I just don't want to talk about it. I want to shove that as far under the rug as possible. But then you always trip on it. And then you add the anxiety, you add the alcohol, you add the depression, and you add all that condensed time together. Plus, if you have children, forget about it.
Yes. I know one couple for a fact that did get real closer. They said they were, I saw them on the outs. And because they had small children, they had to kind of come together, they said. And now they just celebrated 10-year anniversary recently. And they seem different. And they really, as an outsider perspective, they seem very different in a good way. I mean, in a great way, they seem very different. So I want to say, folks, there are folks I know out there who grew closer, but my other folks, I was like, they're getting divorced, and they're just like, this kids involved, no kids, it don't matter. They're just like, bye, we're out. So when couples come to you right now, because like I said, we're kind of coming out of the pandemic, we're still in it, but we're kind of, like you said, things are opening up. What are some of the things you do with them when they come to you and say, okay, we've been stuck in the house together for 2 years, but now I'm back in the office 3 times a week, and but we don't seem to be connecting. What are some of the first things that you suggest?
One of the things I ask them to pay attention to is one member of the couple oftentimes is ready to spring, where the other one is still is feeling kind of left. And so, and then you kind of start into this dynamic of the one who feels left starts chasing the one who wants to spring starts running from the one, you start, this whole cycle. So I guess I ask them just to pay attention to that dynamic and just look at is this what's taking place? The person who feels less inclined to move out and the person who feels more inclined to move out, I ask them, can you guys titrate that a little bit? And, the one who wants to move out a little bit faster, can you slow it down? The one who wants to move out a little bit more slowly, can you speed up? And then I often say, hey, why don't the two of you go out by yourselves, not with friends, and go and have fun. Find a new restaurant, find, now I'm like a new cocktail, find a new sport, go to the beach, do something that's kind of outside of what you would normally do and find a different way of connecting. Even if it's like take a board game to a bar, order a cocktail and play cribbage, play cards doing something different. And then that's one way to help them start getting connected. And the other thing is really starting to have some of those conversations. Having, and they're not easy to do. And I think it's great to get into therapy. I think it's a really.
But what you're saying is, I want to stop there for a second. because people, whether you're single, together, whatever, no one likes to look, they're afraid to look inward. That's where everything begins, right? And it begins
Totally.
inward. So you have to look inward to go forward in any kind of healthy way. So I know people have a hard time. They say doing the work. They always call it quote doing the work, but it really does start with you. So you have to go in somehow to excavate what's in there to see it so you can help your relationships. So I was like, that's interesting. So I know a lot of folks just tell me, I have this problem. I'm afraid to start or afraid to go deep. Um, you know, what it goes back to the thing, what they're gonna think about me if I say this. I've heard that many
Mhm.
times.
Mhm.
If I say this, I mean, he's gonna get so pissed, or he'll look at me differently. It's like, well, that's kind of the point. Like, you need to look at you wholly, right? So that's the whole point, to see who you are. If you're feeling this way, you gotta get it out, right? That's the whole point, right?
One of the things I'll have my couples do when they're trying trying to connect, but they're still having real difficulty, um, I'll ask them to, I'll text them a song and I'll say, dance to this song, one song every day, from, hooked on a feeling to baby got back. Like it doesn't matter what the song is, but I want people
It's on a
to
feeling. I know that's not the song.
move their bodies. And the fastest way I think to fall in love is to dance,
I
right?
love dancing.
You start moving your body, they start, and like the energy starts flowing, you're laughing, which is so important. And you kind of quiet your mind and all the things you're thinking about, and you're just kind of in the present moment. And when a couple can do that, and it doesn't matter, if it's, classical, I don't care what the song is, once they're moving their body together, it somehow begins to shift some of those walls that have been built up. It's
Hmm.
sometimes hard to start dancing though.
I come from a family of dancers, so I mean, I dance all the time. I'm always working somewhere, I'm sure. In my own home, but I like dancing. Well, I think music, and that's a whole other story that helps with mental health also. So I think
Hmm.
music. I have this one thing I do with my clients. I'll say, okay, what are your 4 favorite songs? Or I'll say, if I name a song, what emotions do you get out of it? And they say, oh, I remember that. I mean, I was skating when I was 7, and I start smiling. They go, why am I smiling? Why am I smiling? I'm like, we're just trying something. Or I'll say
Hmm.
TV shows, or I'll say movie, like, what movies instantly make you happy? Like, which ones make you feel? Because we do. Again, we react to everything. It's like, and
Yeah.
again, that physical, going back to the physical thing, I watch certain films, and that warm feeling comes up, and you feel good. And the other day, someone posted a thing, is now we are a TikTok world these days. And one of the younger generation, I guess, found Airplane, the movie. Now, I saw Airplane live in the theater when it came out. That's how old I am. But I love Airplane. It's just a hilarious, slapsticky, lots of clever jokes in it. I mean, it's just a whole thing. And they posted some of the best bits. But just watching that 3-minute TikTok, I was busting up. I felt warm. I felt relaxed, and there was no anxiety. The world was a better place suddenly. You know what I mean? Like that's just and I like that. It's like,
Hmm.
so music can do that, dancing, like, all that stuff can do that. I just think
Hmm.
it's such a.
Hmm.
I'm a full believer in that. Full believer in that. I love that. Oh, I love that. It's so cool. So basically, I can talk to you forever, and it's just like, and time's going by so fast. You have to come back on the show. You have to come back on the show.
I will.
If you'll have me. Um, so it's not impossible. I guess that I want to give people hope, basically, because whether you're single or in a relationship or in a family, or you're all three or one of the two or 5 or 6 or 7 of the 8, there is hope and help, which is something that you do, correct?
Hmm. Hmm. I think there is hope. I think if we can put our phones away for a little bit, we can put on some music, we can look at each other, make eye contact, even just sitting side by side. Like sometimes I'll have my couples like stand back to back and just feel their partner's back, and just energetically feeling their heat, seeing where, their butt hits your butt, your back, where it's an interesting way to connect because you're not actually having to do the full frontal connection, but the back to back, there's a way that it softens things for you. And there's so many little things that you can do that help chip away some of that ice that has been built up around our hearts and makes the connection so much easier. I send out a newsletter every month, bi-monthly. And every month I give little tips like, try this, try that. Here's your homework this month. Like for Mother's Day, it was, for moms, ask for what you want. And even if you're not a mom, ask for something that you want. You may not get it, but you definitely won't if you don't ask.
My mother says a closed mouth does not get fed. Old saying, right? Oh, I mean, it's true, but it's like those old sayings all mean something for real. I mean, come on, folks. My grandma said, "All money's good money." It all really means, they all mean something that's translatable for today.
Totally.
All those sayings, and so I agree with you. Like, if you don't open your mouth to say something, no one's mind readers. They can't read your mind or your body language all the time. Some people can look and see something up, but they can't unless you voice it. Don't know. But I'm trying for myself. So there's hope out there.
There's hope for you, James. So much. I can
Andrea,
totally tell.
Well, I'm gonna practice some of your stuff. I'm gonna practice some of stuff you said, and I'm going to give you progress reports of how it goes. I'm going to do that. See, folks, I learn at the same time on these shows. I don't just do these shows. I learn. That's why I love doing these. Andrea, thanks for being on the show. You have to come back.
Thank you so much. I will. Okay. I totally will. I'd love to. It's been so much fun.
Tell folks again where they can find your practice, find your newsletter. This is your chance to promote.
They can find me at andreadindinger.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter right there. I'm doing a group course for a relationship revival boot camp. It starts on Wednesday. It's sold out, but I'll do it again in the fall. But it's a great opportunity for a 4-week intensive, 1 hour a week, come together and work with your partner, show up by yourself, but the impact you have on your partner and your community it's incredible. But like, I think if people can take one thing is like, when you are taking care of you, you're taking care of everybody.
That's where we'll end it, kids. I'm James Lott Jr., allottahelp.com. We'll see you next time.